Welcome once again. We begin with today's big story. President Akufo-Addo has reaffirmed his government's commitment to create jobs through farming and agriculture for the teeming youth. Now, to this end, various farmers will continue to enjoy all the necessary support and respect from government through this practical and sustainable policy. President Akufo-Addo was launching a 10-year cash development plan at Winchi in the Bono Afri region. Well, meanwhile, earlier in an interview with Joy Business, Deputy Chief Executive of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Erica Makuchum, was upbeat the plan would help triple the country's cashew exports in the next 10 years, as well as enhance massive employment opportunities for the youth.
The President is going to unveil the National Cashew Development Plan, and that would, as part of it, as a key component of the plan, would involve a cashew development board, which is one of the key election promises and also was part of the NPP manifesto.
I know for a fact that I think that the plan will also unveil some of these numbers in terms of the direct support that's going to come from government and collaboration with the private sector and all of those things. Then once we're able to do that, we'll be able to hone in on the exact number of people, or if not exact, I mean some kind of estimate as to the number of people
but it will be huge.
It would be huge. It's an exciting sector, and now if it's not one of those things where you'd have to basically do it all the time. So you can actually encourage businesses and entrepreneurs to actually invest in that sector by either using outgrowers or engaging in it themselves and all that as a cash crop. So in terms of employment, it's actually going to be huge. I mean, I have seen even recently quite a lot of interest from people who hitherto didn't have been interested in farming and asking questions about, well, how can we do this whole cashew thing and all of that. And that's not just cashew, with other things, because for us as a country, with the sort of climate that we have and the number of people that are actually engaged in we need to move away from this whole just farming. I mean, as a farming, if you like, or an agricultural economy to an agribusiness economy. And there's two different things, right? See it as actually a business. So if you like, the biggest companies in the world in terms of the food, like Nestle and Kellogg's and all of those things, are by extension agribusiness, you know, and that is where we'll be able to make a lot of impact. Because if you like, 60% of our population are one way or the other involved in agriculture. And now if you move it from just mere farming into an agribusiness where you're tapping into the whole value chain, the production, marketing, transportation, packaging, design, all of those things, then the number of people that would actually be engaged in that sector will be huge, will be enormous.
In other news tonight, business operators are demanding more sensitization on the newly introduced tax amnesty by the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA. According to them, such a policy initiative needs better understanding for the needed results. Now, in an interview with Joy Business, Chief Executive of the Private Enterprise Federation, Nanaose Bonsu, noted the idea is good but lacks understanding.
This is what we're reviewing to address the burden on the businesses for being in compliance. And we hope that the listening government will grant us the room to make it easy for businesses to be in compliance. We have a tax code. And you know, for a small businessman, he doesn't have the technical skills and competencies to analyze what is in the tax code. They have to rely on consultancies, which they cannot afford. So things that are possibly in their best favor, they don't take advantage of. And things that are inimical to their business, GRA will enforce it. So what we're saying is there must be education on the part of GRA so that businesses will be in compliance as much as knowing what is in favor of their businesses.
Well, Mr. Otsebonsu was speaking at a forum by the UK-Ghana Chamber of Commerce and the GRA. Now, Chief Executive of the UKCC, Tony Bergson, is optimistic that the policy will encourage tax collection if well implemented.
It all depends on how GRA executes this. First of all, if you're having a tax amnesty, it should be something that everybody in Ghana is about. Every corporate sector, every company in Ghana should be aware of this tax amnesty. So I think on that count, GRA have to do a bit more work to educate the public and the business community about this. If they get that right, then certainly, look, if you haven't paid your taxes in 5 years and the government is saying, well, look, you can come and pay the taxes and you won't get any penalties, I think it's a big incentive for businesses to pay their taxes.
Do I take that as an endorsement from the UK Chamber?
Look, as an organization, we have 90 companies, some of which are Ghanaian, some of which are British, and paying taxes is part of being a corporate citizen. If you're not paying your taxes, the roads that you're driving on, the hospitals that you go to have to be funded one way or another. So we really support this. And I mean, I had a conversation with Mr. Yentumi, who's an advisor to the Commissioner General, and I mentioned to him that a tax amnesty would be a good idea. So we're very happy, and I think we actually lobbied for it. So we're very happy that the government has announced it. What we want to see now is the process and the technical steps of how this will be run. At the moment, we are not seeing that from the GRA. But it's been a great event, and GRA have been very supportive in wanting to come and speak to stakeholders, and we think this will be something that hopefully they will do on a regular basis.
Now, the rollout of the tax stamp policy continues to face massive opposition as local manufacturers make a case for adequate preparation. The Food and Beverage Association of Ghana today held a press conference calling on government to immediately suspend the tax stamp policy. According to the association, huge infrastructural challenges, including the unbearable cost of purchasing specialized machines, place local manufacturers in grave danger should the policy be rolled out on the 1st of March. Samuel Agri is Executive Secretary of the Food and Beverage Association of Ghana.
Local manufacturers in Ghana are disturbed about the implementation of the tax stamp policy. The mother body of food and beverage manufacturers has officially expressed disappointment in the policy. At a press engagement, Executive Secretary of the Association, Samuel Agri, noted that the association wants an immediate suspension of the policy.
The process that they want us to employ will be of a huge challenge, and therefore we cannot do that. So the best thing we need to do is to deploy technology to achieve the same results as we all expected. In this digital age, everything is possible. We have designers in this country that can come up with all the designs and the machines that we want. Actually, a simple device that will be installed at the end of the bottling line will give you the same results that the 500,000 machine will give you as a producer.
Samuel Agri fears implementation of the policy will shoot up prices of drinks, including bottled water, in the market. He is calling for broader consultation between government and industry players.
If we want to be smart enough, then we'll ask the implementers to withdraw as a matter of urgency, suspend this tax stamp implementation, and then get back to the table for us to discuss to get the right machines in place. The technology is there. We should be able to deploy them without asking businesses to cough up millions of cedis to get the machines in place.
Checks show that no beverage manufacturer has procured or installed the tax stamp affixing machine needed for the smooth enforcement of the policy. This development raises questions about the readiness of authorities to start enforcing the tax stamp policy. What we should be expecting is a hike in the pricing of various locally produced products here in the Ghanaian market. We are also looking, according to the Executive Secretary, at an increase in bottled water in terms of the pricing, as well as a collapse of various local industries here in the country. For Joy Business, Charles Aita reporting here at the industrial area in Accra.
Well, there's an important development in the mining sector I want to tell you about. Mining giant AngloGold Ashanti says it has reached an agreement with government over the redevelopment of the Obuasi gold mine. This should see the mine, which has been operating in limited phase since 2014, resume its full functions again. Aside from the lack of new mining concessions, AngloGold Ashanti's operations were affected by obsolete equipment, poor security and activities of illegal miners. The agreements signed with government include a development agreement, tax concession agreement, security agreement and a reclamation security agreement. Speaking to the press on Tuesday, Managing Director of AngloGold Ashanti Obuasi Mine, Eric Subontain, said a thorough feasibility study has been conducted and expressed hope it would be productive and profitable.
Just like we've been doing in the past, we would be working very closely with our local stakeholders, including the local authorities, in terms of how together we can all work to ensure that the societies we are operating in benefit from mining activities, and then we ensure that whatever we need to bring to the table, we bring to the table. It's always not a sustainable approach if you operate in isolation and thinking you can go ahead and make direct interventions. We would be working with the local communities to address, or the local authorities, I should say, to address those local developmental issues and challenges.
The redevelopment will make use of automation and controls for improved operational efficiencies and consistency in performance. This would be a departure from how the mine was operated in the past. The project implementation is expected to be undertaken in 2 phases, with the first gold pour expected in the 3rd quarter of 2019. Mr. Subontain also spoke of employment opportunities.
We will be creating between 2,000 to 2,500 good quality jobs. And if you look at the life of mine, those are solid jobs and they are skilled roles, all things being equal, because we've mentioned that into the future we're going to run a mechanized mining operation. And we would make dedicated efforts to ensure that these employment opportunities become available to our communities. As I mentioned earlier on, we are putting in place a community or local employment procedure in a way that targets the host communities we operate within. But broadly and at a high level, our focus will be very much on trying to get Ghanaians to work in the mine. Not only that, but also put in place programs that trains Ghanaians into the future.
2 of the documents, tax concession agreement and development agreement, would have to be ratified by Parliament to be made effective. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has indicated that government's first Eurobond will be issued before the end of the 1st quarter. This confirms earlier reports by Joy Business that the bond could be issued by March. The minister has been giving details of the bond after he secured some commitment from investors in Asia during his Nandi roadshow.
We are going to issue anywhere from $1 to $2 billion of sovereign paper. And so I think we found some people who are excited about that. We also are a lot more positive about maybe issuing a green bond. And we got some keen interest from there. So it was a good trip, and we look forward to further engagement.
Are we looking at March for the bond?
Certainly this first half of the year.
Turning to other news, the Ghana Investment Promotion Center has expressed its commitment to give MTN the necessary approvals to aid its listing by June this year. The telecoms giant has disclosed to Joy Business that it is working to list on the Ghana Stock Exchange before the end of the first half of this year. However, this is subject to securing the necessary approvals from the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Investment Promotion Center. Now, there are fears that the proposed timelines for listing could suffer if the approvals delay. The chief executive of the center, Yofi Grant, tells Joy Business this would not be MTN's situation if it meets all the requirements.
And is looking at a public listing, and therefore they have to go through certain regulatory hoops, etc. But at the same time, there are certain things that they need to tick, some boxes they need to tick a GIPC to make sure that they are clear to go ahead with that. And that's what we do. And normally we work with the regulator and other agencies, so it's just not about us. We submit certain requests to the agencies to try and give them the all-go, and then they come to us and give them the all-go to go in. But MTN has been with us for quite a while, and I suspect that they're in here for the long haul. And even the idea of doing a public listing is interesting because it gives Ghanaians a chance to also own shares in the company.
What are your checklists that you're looking for? Today are saying that all other things being equal. I mean, the economists will always say that if everything worked for them, they're looking at possibly somewhere in June. Are you?
There's a possibility that it might even we might finish with what we are doing before June. So.
And you are willing to give them the approval if they meet all the requirements?
If they do meet all the requirements, it's all the approvals. You see, people misunderstand what we do. We stand between investors and the marketplace, but we also ensure that they do the right things because there are rules and regulations. I can't get up today and go and just throw my money in a certain country and break every law. I can't do that. But I think they've demonstrated enough responsibility in making sure that all the boxes are ticked and all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed before they go ahead with what they're doing.
Well, the China multinational hotel group Shangri-La has begun preparations to expand its tentacles into Ghana. The company has already acquired a parcel of land at the airport business area for the construction of a modern 5-star facility. Again, Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, disclosed to Joy Business. Ebenezer Sabote has more.
The face of Ghana's tourism sector is expected to change after receiving what is being described as one of the best private sector investments into the country. The decision by the Shangri-La Group to establish a 5-star hotel in Ghana has come as a good news to the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC. In an interview with Joy Business, Chief Executive of the GIPC, Yofi Grant, says the group has successfully registered with the center and is expected to commence construction work soon.
To develop a 5-star Shangri-La hotel here. You know, Shangri-La is a global chain, 5-star chain, providing quality leisure. And so they are already in Ghana looking to do that. We're expecting to see some others.
Is it the old Shangri-La that got collapsed?
No, that is not the old Shangri-La. That was not the Shangri-La Group. That was a private developer who called his hotel Shangri-La, but it wasn't part of the global chain. This is the original global chain. They acquired the space in the land, and so that's what they're going to do. So they've actually bought the land, they've registered the company, and they're hoping that within the next few months they'll cut short on the construction.
He spoke on the sidelines of the Maiden Tourism Investment Forum organized by the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture. The Shangri-La Group has over 95 hotels and resorts in Asia, Europe, and among others. The company is primarily listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Yofi Grant further explained some initiatives that the center is embarking upon in order to support the tourism sector in attracting the needed investments.
Opportunities. And as I did mention, we are looking to increase capacity to maybe 20,000 first-class rooms for tourism and for also business travelers. And so those are very good opportunities that I just want to see. We already the Perennial and Shangri-La Group are looking at Ghana actively.
The Ghana Tourism Investment Forum seeks to promote investment opportunities in the industry.
Players in the financial sector want government to invest in improving digital financial services. Ghana has adopted the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals for economic growth, social inclusion and environmental protection by 2030. Head of Consumer Distribution at EcoBank, Oreku Asari, believes achievement of 11 of the goals is linked to digital financial services. Nanaya Ochima has more.
Mr. Asari says digital financial service will increase payment and access to business credit for improved lives. Besides, business transactions between rural farmers and urban consumers will improve to achieve the no poverty and no hunger goals. Mr. Asari is optimistic the system will reduce cash loss, especially to rural folks.
Currently, because of where they find themselves, they are excluded from having access to banking. And with digital financial services, now they'll be able to go to the agent next door to deposit cash securely into an account or withdraw cash. As we speak, cash gets bent, cash are stolen, and with digital financial services, all these will be able to store securely. And it's only the owner that will have access to it with a PIN.
The bank has introduced the EcoBank mobile app to facilitate access to its services. It's expected to create employment in areas where banks have no physical presence.
So what it means is that these 3,000 people will be going from household to house, street to street, to onboard people onto the EcoBank mobile app to enable them to transact digitally. And aside these 3,000 people, we are also going to employ a lot of people in the country from district to district to ensure that everybody in the country has a digital account. And aside getting these roving agents in the field to onboard people, agents that will be receiving cash in terms of deposits and will be getting customers to withdraw cash from their account will also be enrolled for the digital banking as well, so that they can facilitate deposit and withdrawals.
Head of Northern Sector Unit of EcoBank, Abraham Adukwate, reviews the bank targets to register 2.5 million customers by end of year.
So long as people can use mobile money, then they can use the digital platform. Because if people have even young phones, they're able to use mobile money. And we've designed our system in such a way that even for young phones, they can still onboard and still transact on the mobile platform. So anybody who can use the mobile money platform can use the EcoBank Express account.
Reporting for Joy Business, Nanaya Ojima.
Aviation now, the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, GCAA, says it will start implementing legal directives on consumer rights by June this year. This is aimed at enhancing the passenger services at Ghana's airports. The move follows recent incidents where some airlines have been accused of failing to compensate passengers after they were denied boarding due to issues of overbooking or flight cancellations. Now, speaking to Joy Business, the Director General for the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Simon Alote, said plans are far advanced to implement the directives by June.
In the past few months, the issue of consumer protection in the aviation sector has attracted increasing attention, especially as some instances of air travel disruptions were caused by overbooking and flight cancellation, among others. In response to these challenges, the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority says it is speeding the process to have some policy directives on consumer rights come in force by June this year.
We have come out with draft directives on consumer protection and passenger rights, and we have engaged various stakeholders, airlines, operators, the public, on what the directives seek to achieve to ensure fairness to passengers and to air operators in the provision of passenger services, both domestic and international. So we are hopeful that by the end of the first half of this year, we'll be in a position to implement the economic directives.
When you say first half, which month exactly?
By the end of June.
Okay. The Director General for the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Simon Alote, further outlined some issues that the Consumer Directive would address.
It will cover denied boarding, delayed flights, what sort of compensation should be paid, and other issues hindering on the passengers' rights. You know, sometimes you are confirmed, you get to the airport on time, and they will tell you the flight is full. We cannot accept that. Or the flight is cancelled for whatever reason, the passenger is subject to some form of compensation. So all this will be clearly spelled out.
Sheila Tamaklo for Joy Business.
Well, it's time to bring you our interview of the day. Economist Dr. Buteksin is challenging arguments that commercial banks still need more time before reviewing their interest rates. This follows concerns that banks have not reduced their rates despite significant reduction in all the factors that influence cost of credit. Now, latest data from the Bank of Ghana revealed that rates are still high, with average interest rates hovering around 26%. But Dr. Texin tells Joy Business there cannot be any justification for banks to hold their rates at the current levels.
tendencies within the banking sector. They depend on that interest income, so they will find all excuses not to reduce the interest rate. If we open up our financial markets to allow very world-renowned banks to come in and compete, because they have very innovative ways of raising income for their banks, and they begin to drive down the interest rate, a lot of the banks would also do the same. So it's just a matter of the fact that they know that they have some control, and therefore with those sort of very low competition in terms of interest rates, they'll always keep the interest rate.
Do you think the banks have a case when they ask for more time, or the fact that where they should respond now? They don't have a case.
They don't have a case. I mean, all indicators that go into the determination of interest rates are clearly indicating that interest rates should decline. It's not declining just because they think that they can still keep it there and get whatever they get out of it.
And that's Business Live tonight. Thanks for watching. There's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. We're back same time tomorrow.